opening the third eye. Today I wanted to talk about what it felt like and actually still feels like for me if I were to open this third eye. Now, another way of describing the third eye is simply saying the spiritual eye. If you prefer plurals, that is fine, but they call it one eye because technically you're not really working with two eyeballs as you normally do, physically speaking. Now, to people this can be such an elusive thing. When they hear about it, read about it, they wonder, what is this all about? It sounds either incredible or it sounds absolutely stupid and nonsensical and like nonsense pretty much. So what is this really about? Well, from my perspective, opening the spiritual eye, you not only should learn about what it feels like so you're prepared beforehand, but also to realize why it is actually so important to do this. Because if you do it, you learn more and more things about your own spiritual nature. You become able to perceive beyond the physical world, and that is the only, real experience you need. Just hearing words about it isn't enough. You might believe in it, you might have hoped that one day you will experience it for yourself, but it becomes absolutely meaningful and actually has value once you have experienced it for yourself and not just by listening to this from me or anyone else. But still, I wanted to share with you what it felt like for me just recently when I did it again. And it is something I've been practicing increasingly more consistently. It's another reason why I haven't been uploading a lot, because I am just really busy with doing all kinds of spiritual things for myself, practicing it and developing these powers, and then see where they will take me personally. And then along the way I will talk about it here and there and leave that for humanity. So what happens? Well, I can tell you this much. I jotted it all down when it occurred, and I'll go over those notes. So first, I described that I went into a state of deep relaxation. So normally when you go to sleep, you basically pass out and that's it, and then you start dreaming. We will go over these things in a little bit because they're going to be hopefully very useful for you as well. But what I did was go into a deep relaxation, focusing on my breath, calming the whole body. And out of the darkness, a flash came where I was looking at my computer monitor. And during it, I felt great inner joy and a smile on my face, because I knew I was perceiving something. But here's where it got a little confusing, because for a little bit, I thought to myself, whoa, I have my eyes open, I'm looking at my monitor, I should close them again and keep meditating. And everything went black again in my vision. So what I realized, when it occurred, I felt this great joy. Looking back on it on reflection, very rapidly I realized the reason why I felt this inner joy was because I had evidence again from clear personal experience that it is possible to see consciously without your eyes being physically open. This is absolutely amazing when it happens. You just realize this is all true. And even though at first it might sound bizarre and impossible, it is true, it is possible, but you need to experience for yourself. So usually they come in little flashes, and then over time, as we keep practicing it, we become better at it and can take it deeper and deeper and further into spiritual perceptions. But the thing is, even though it made me feel joyous, it's like subconsciously I knew I was looking with my inner eyes, with this third eye. But another part of my consciousness thought I had my eyes open again, because that's what I literally felt. I felt as if my eyes were open, and when I thought, oh, I need to close them because I'm trying to open up the third eye, not my physical eyes, I also felt the sensation within my brain, within my skull. It sounds bizarre perhaps, as if I was closing my eyes again. And it was then that I realized, now wait a minute. But my eyes were already closed because now it's pitch black again, and I know I'm laying on my bed. I'm not sitting in front of my monitor at all. So I was actually perceiving spiritually for a moment there, because my monitor was on in a different section of the house. And it was like I was staring at it randomly with my spiritual eye. So this is very interesting, because I pierced for a brief moment the darkness behind the closed eyes, and through this subtle inner concentration, allowing my consciousness to move away from my physical body awareness. Now, to me, this is a good sign. And to you, if it happens or has happened to you, it should be a good sign. It means you're on the right track. And if you keep practicing this and going in this direction, well, do not forget the little achievements that you have gotten so far. You know, that's what I heard and felt throughout myself. Focus. Focus, Renil. Focus on the breath. Keep it calm and steady. Then the body will fall asleep while piercing my consciousness through the darkness of closed eyes. I did experience all kinds of other sensations throughout my body and brain. But I know now to keep myself calm through breathing, as to not panic or get overly excited. So consciousness can peacefully shift awareness into spiritual perception. So you see, what I experienced, and if I try to put this in words, is I felt these strong vibrations throughout my skull. They literally felt like electric vibrations. I know, this might make no sense, but that's what it felt like. I felt these strange sensations very intensely throughout my whole skull and brain, pretty much. But also throughout my body, I felt strange sensations. At some point, it felt like, hey, I don't have legs anymore. I can just feel energy. It didn't feel like physical matter anymore. That was in the form of a body. I mean, all this stuff is part of the body falling asleep, of course, and your consciousness switching, you could say, frequencies, switching awareness, state of awareness. It's no longer physical body state of awareness, but spiritual, non-physical state of awareness. Now, I also read in ancient scriptures from the East that deals with all these spiritual things more specifically than in the West usually, that they said that only these brief moments, right, these brief experiences can be enough for the aspirant to develop his way back to God. The aspiring student will, if he has these experiences, if you've had them, even though they may have been brief, you should be excited and happy about it, because that is already proof that these powers exist, these abilities, this way towards God, towards His kingdom. So it is not just mere reading the seeker has to do, that you and I have to do, but it all has to occur from our own experiences. Even if they are brief, we will then remain motivated to find God as we walk the path. So if you haven't had the experience again, these things, they hopefully at least you take them on faith and then develop the experiences for yourself by practice. Because remember, what I did was simply lay down, focus on my breathing, etc. I was willing to go there to keep practicing this relaxation technique, and I didn't have anything specific in mind. I was just like, oh, let's see what happens if my body falls asleep, if I can remain aware. What actually happens then? And yes, what happened was that I gained perception out of nowhere. It's pretty shocking actually sometimes if I think about it, but you literally suddenly start perceiving all kinds of stuff that you technically would say, well, that shouldn't be possible, right? When your eyes are closed, you see darkness, but behind that darkness lies a whole spiritual world and realm to explore. So again, I laid down and I totally relaxed, and I went so deeply into myself. I felt all these strange sensations throughout my body and skull, and I kept relaxing myself deeper and deeper, and then suddenly, like a flash, I saw my computer monitor. I was sitting at my desk, and I felt a great smile on my face and joy, and I knew. What did I know? Well, I subconsciously knew that I was perceiving spiritually, but another part of me was confused, because it was tight. You see, this is what happens. We're so used to only using our physical eyes that another part of me was shocked by this and thought, hey, you need to close your eyes, what are you doing? We want to see you spiritually, not physically. But yet I was seeing spiritually, and in that confusion I thought I was seeing physically, but was not the case. And that might happen to you as well, but hey, it doesn't really matter if it goes wrong, right? You can keep practicing this, so next time it happens for me, I will keep practicing and actually realizing and remembering, okay, when this occurs, my spiritual eyes are open and I don't have to close them. Because that's essentially what I did. I closed those inner eyes again, and that's what I felt. So these are the sensations again, as I tried to convey them. What happens? Well, first I felt these intense vibrations throughout my skull. And it really felt like a shock, like, there's no other way to describe it, like something shocked my skull and brain, causing me to suddenly perceive spiritually. Suddenly the third eye went wide open, like it got blasted open, you could say. I mean, there's no way to really describe this logically, but if these sensations have happened to you but you didn't take them far enough, well, now you know it's part of the opening of your own third eye. Now, these sensations, though, can only be experienced if you first wield the ability and train that ability to let yourself totally relax to such a point that your body falls asleep. You have to let the body fall asleep and the awareness of your body melt away from your own consciousness so that you still are aware, but of totally different things, spiritually speaking. I know to the average person this sounds bizarre because we're so used to falling unconscious when we go to sleep. But yet I know from this experience that it's abnormal to sleep, you see? So this is why I would say it's important for you and I to develop this ability of opening the third eye. Because, after it first occurred to me in 2018, the words came as I laid down before I fell asleep. Why do you sleep? Don't you know it's abnormal? Now, this particular peculiar intuitive thought came to me in 2018, and now in 2022 I had the first proper experience of what else is possible. Although in between I've had them before, but I wasn't really specifically aiming at having them, so perhaps I, mostly dismissed them. I can't remember them, but they weren't just as special as this last one because I deliberately wanted it to happen. My third eye, I wanted it to open. So instead of just falling asleep unconscious, instead I just developed the power to let go of this tired body and simply became a free spirit that inhabits a body for now on Earth, but also is free to take trips into other realms. I can explore those while the body simply having its little rest. It's the same for you. When you practice this, your body, you realize this body, if you're tired, you realize, oh, it's just my body being tired. Yes, mentally, you also might be like, oh, I'm exhausted, I can't concentrate. You see, what I am discovering here for myself is that the signal of tiredness, it's a signal for us to withdraw from the physical realm and enter the spiritual realm. The problem is, we tend to do this unconsciously. But by opening the spiritual eye, the third eye, you learn to do it consciously. You see, you might think that the spiritual eye is nonsense, but let me ask you something. When you're dreaming throughout your life, you are perceiving those dreams. What are you using in order to perceive them? Most people never consider this. It's not your physical eyes, obviously, because you close them when you lay down. You see, the dreams you observe at night are already part of the spiritual third eye that you're using in order to perceive those realms. But again, what we want to overcome is this tendency of being unconscious during those periods. So even for me, regularly I still find myself unconscious during the experiments or the dream experiences. But I've also been there consciously a few times. As brief as they may be, they are enough proof for me to keep going in this direction, to keep increasing my ability to do this until it becomes something that is completely normal for me to do. And one day it can be completely normal for you as well. Maybe it already is, maybe you're already that advanced. Who knows? If you are, feel free to let us know in the comment section below, because you could potentially share a lot of interesting insights about this power and ability. But most of humanity, I know, is not even started on the road of awakening themselves spiritually and opening the spiritual eye. Now, did the Bible, for example, also talk about this? Well, it did. Because in Isaiah 45:3, so that's chapter 45 and verse number 3, it literally said, I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, which calls you by your name, am the God of Israel. So what does it mean, that verse? It says, I will give thee the treasures of darkness. So for piercing through the darkness of closed eyes, you behold another kingdom. That's what I did. In which you possess great treasures. I've had that before as well. If you can take this far enough, you will possess whatever you want in that realm, whatever you desire. It is a secret place full of hidden riches indeed, even though for now it was a brief experience. I saw the treasures in darkness. You see, what is the greatest treasure? To me personally, the treasure of spiritual sight. And what else could I experience once I take it deeper, right? That's the question for myself. And it's the same for you again. Have you actually sought out this treasure of spiritual sight? Because it will absolutely show you clear evidence from your own personal experience that you're not just your body, but there's something greater going on here. that your consciousness is something greater, as it was written, essentially a child of God. But you see, just having this theoretically in your mind and accepting it, well, yeah, I guess I'm a child of God, without any spiritual experiences to prove it, it is still a little meaningless. It is better not to have it at all in your mind, but once you actually have experiences on these things, they become so valuable and meaningful to you, you can't even believe it, man. So I can see how this physical world could lose its grip over us when we keep going here, because that's what I'm experiencing. Like, less desire to really achieve anything physically, because I want to keep exploring the spiritual realms and know more about it. Because when I consciously perceived the spiritual realm, it also gave me a shock of energy. So this all happened in a period of 90 minutes, more or less. Me laying down and then perceiving into the spiritual world. Then I got up to write down my notes, but I also noticed that I'm not tired at all anymore. So when I lay down, I was like, oh, I'm tired, I need to sleep. Then after 90 minutes I woke up and I was full of energy. I kept going for, I didn't actually pay attention to how long I stayed awake, because after about 10 hours or something, I was like, I want to lay down and try this again. But then, I passed out again, like most of us. So for me, even it goes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But over time, I hope to shift it more and more towards the direction on where it keeps on working for me. Because that's the promise, that's what ancient sages throughout history have said, that it's possible to do this consciously all the time. To know that you're not your body any longer, you can just enter other realms at will. What great joy that would be. I mean, personally to me, that sounds like a wonderful thing. When you can just take a break from the physical reality, instead of feeling constantly stuck and haunted by it, you can just decide to leave it for a while and explore the spiritual realms. Now, in Psalms chapter 115, verse 3, they said, "Our God is in the heavens, and he has done whatsoever he hath pleased." Well, in another part in Psalms, they warned of people in high prestige and wealth on earth but have no spiritual understanding, that they die like the beasts of the earth. So, it remains the wildest and strangest thing, in a way. How I had my eyes closed and out of nowhere I gained sight. Well, that is the same how it's happening for you. For all of us, it already does, as I said, but it's unconscious. So the importance of this is for you, that it will help you on your spiritual awakening and understanding your eternal nature. That you're not just a physical being, but that there's more beyond physicality itself. And we can accept this theoretically, but we should experience it for ourselves. Then it really holds meaning for us. The experience nobody can take away from you. They might doubt your claims or think it's nonsense, but you've had the experience, I've had them. So I cannot doubt in them myself. I can only say, well, yeah, it is rather peculiar and hard to describe at times, all these non-physical matters that are going beyond earthly life, but they do exist, and that's what it's all about. So opening the spiritual eye, practicing this relaxation, allowing the body to fall asleep, allowing it to fade away from your consciousness so that your third eye can open, is highly important. The sensations I've tried to describe earlier are a little peculiar, but it's highly important for you to better understand from actual experience what these ancient scriptures have talked about all along. That you're a child of God, and in order for that to be true, you must have experience. You must have some way to prove that this is true, otherwise it's meaningless. And this is one of those things that happen to you. Once you awaken to this awareness, you experience these wonderful things for yourself, and that is why it's important, because you no longer feel like you're just a physical human body. Now I want to leave it at here, because I already see, this message has gone on for quite some time. But anybody that has experience with this for themselves or practicing it, etc., feel free to share your thoughts about it if you want. And if not, keep on practicing anyway for yourself, because I'll be sure to do that myself. It is absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful. And let's see where else it will take me. And perhaps I'll be able to share some of the stuff that I experienced through all of this over time and in general. Now with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.